at one of the podium receptions for the Olympics with Andrew from University of Westminster. Andrew, you've been doing a really interesting research project. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, we've been doing a project in collaboration with the University of South Australia. It's about the experience of being at the Games. In particular, we're interested in how people's involvement with sport affects their experience, and also we're interested in how the venue itself affects their experience.
Okay, that's great. And how has your experience, your personal experience at University of Westminster led you to do this project?
Well, I've been quite interested in mega events for quite a long time. So my PhD back in the 1990s looked at the work that Manchester and Sheffield were doing around events. And then I did some of the evaluation work after the Manchester 2002 Commonwealth Games. And we've been involved in various sort of Olympic research projects at the University of Westminster. So this is the latest in a whole series of research projects about sport events and large mega events, basically.
Great, and I know you've got a number of students involved in their projects. Can you tell me what kind of roles they're doing?
Yeah, we've used 5 of our students, 2 postgrads and 3 undergrads, who have all been basically our research assistants. So there's been me and Graham Brown from South Australia, but then the rest of the team are made up of students, and they've been given full accreditation to go into the Olympic venues, and they've been helping us undertake surveys with spectators and trying to find out what they thought about their experience, and obviously to try and find out a bit of information about the spectators themselves, where they're from, whether they're interested in sport, what they think about the venue, and obviously provide the information that we need to finish the research.
They must have had a really exciting time then, getting to go into all of the venues, getting to see all of that. Do you think this is inspiring them to go on and do similar work themselves?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, they've been on the first day they were extremely excited. So. Yeah, I think it's been a great opportunity. I mean, we've obviously paid them to do the work, but in some ways I think we didn't need to, because they were so excited about doing it that they probably would have done it without being paid. But yeah, I mean, some of them are doing their own dissertation projects, several of them doing projects on events or the games, so they've been quite interested in what we've been doing, and some of them have said that they'd like to try and sort of maybe use some of the lessons, you know, in their own sort of dissertation projects. So we're hoping we sort of inspire them not just to take up sport or to be more interested in sport events, but to obviously think about how to evaluate event experiences and how to research events of this kind.
That sounds great. And the relationship with the University of South Australia, how did that come about?
Well, I've met there's a guy called Professor Graham Brown at the University of South Australia. He's a professor of tourism, but he's been working on a whole series of event projects over the last few years. He did a lot of the work in Sydney around actually about sort of corporate sponsors and the way in which they sort of perceived the event and how they experienced the event. So I met him at several conferences in the run-up to the Games, and we agreed to try and put in a sort of, we tried to put together a project around the 2012 Games. So he's been here for several weeks, and he's going to be here for several more weeks, and yeah, we're working together, and hopefully we'll publish the work together as well.
That's great. Do you think this will be a lasting relationship after the Games with the university?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, we've obviously got to know Graham. Even the students have got to know Professor Brown quite well. So I think the collaboration will continue. The University of Westminster already has several placement schemes with Australian universities, so it may lead to sort of further sort of placements for some of our students to go and spend their second semester of their second year in Australia. So that's something that several students already choose to do, and we could, you know, in some ways that might be a further. But something that continues more because of the collaboration on this project.
That's great. Thank you so much. Sounds like a really interesting project.